This conference will now be recorded.
Change of date.
Motion to approve change of next meeting date to December 16th, 2025.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It is moved. Item 4, call to the public. Members of the public who wish to address the planning commission regarding items not on the agenda may do so. Any presentation is for information purposes only. No action will be taken. There's a 4-minute time limit. If you'd like to address the planning commission, please come to the podium and give us your name and address. Nobody online?
Just Patrick.
I didn't mean to slight you, Patrick. Okay, seeing how we have no one to address us, the call to public, we'll move then old business, and 6A is discussion of the future land use plan update.
Okay, Aaron, you've seen this on a few times before. Public hearing on it, believe it or not, but if you go through that process, as Mike pointed out, we initially started this. Just wanting to update the Southwest growth area and incorporate road network ideas from current plan to American Regional Council in Johnson County as far as the regional study. We've completed those tasks. I did get a little bit maybe overzealous at times when we talked to the planning commission about some other areas. Decided to bring it back to what we had for areas north of Evening Star, shows consistency of what we had before. One area I did take some liberties with is the solar panel area that will be south. That will be light industrial. So I did incorporate that into our future land use plan. Interestingly enough, we will have some by December meeting, potential rezoning for the property at Astra. But like I said, the focus was to just take the Southwest growth area plan, incorporate the road network materials. Have the changes that were made consistent in any zoning districts to match that.
Oh, pardon me. Got the microphone on.
Nope. So the future land use map now includes the Southwest area growth map, and this is consistent with that.
Correct.
And we're adding to it the road plan, comprehensive arterial road network plan.
Yes.
And we reverted back to pre-discussion changes for things north of K10. Main 3 points.
Yeah, correct. Edgar, nodding my head, yes.
Any questions or further discussion?
And Brad, I know we discussed this and I'm sure we all would prefer to be moved beyond this agenda item, but the incorporation of the arterial, I know there was a question about easements the last time and that's included in here.
Yeah, that's typically, a specific when project or something's coming along, we get into
Okay.
the easement issues with plating, et cetera.
Okay.
So our action item you're asking for is approval of this
We
for,
recommend approval
Recommend-
to the city council.
okay, so we're just making a recommendation to city council to either approve or not approve.
Correct.
Okay. Matters before the commission.
Brad, was there anything that came of the public hearing? Any commentary, feedback, anything along those lines?
No, as I recall, nobody attended for or spoke on that item.
Okay.
The consultant looked at all these, all the colors and everything, make sure that everything's fine, or has that been?
Yeah, I
checked
did
and all
work
that?
with our consultant that completed the Southwest Growth Area Plan. They provided us. We went back and forth for quite a few things, and then we did get the ArcView files. Then actually finished it up working with Johnson County. So they have this mapping as well. And they were very cordial, and any updates we make in the future will probably use Johnson County planning staff.
I mean, the only thing I really noticed was that was annexed in, it's over at it'd be the northeast corner of Evening Star and K10.
Yeah,
That
and that
little
is
sliver.
correct with the new property, or pardon me, annexation lines. I can tell you this, that the owner is looking at buying some additional tracks up in that area, but once again, that'll be for
Okay.
future planning commission discussion. So that's our current situation right now.
I guess I was just talking about that little sliver. That'd be on the east side of Evening Star, right north of the future commercial. Is that supposed to be commercial, or is that mixed use, or that multifamily, that brown in there? I didn't know if that was supposed to be commercial too or not.
Yeah, we've had that as commercial now. Once again, Flint Group is working on probably potentially having that whole area become light industrial. At this point, that's been our policy, is to have that intersection have commercial on those corners.
Okay.
Further questions for Brad? Any other comments? Perhaps a motion to recommend approval or denial?
I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval to council for item 6A, future land use maps.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Schultz. Maroc.
Yes.
Milburn.
Yes.
Huggins.
Yes.
Blaine.
Yes.
Templin.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 6B, discuss home occupations, limited retail use and residential.
All right, thank you, Chairman. We covered a lot of this ground at the last meeting to get some suggestions from the planning commission. And really the changes were to make sure that the properties in question, that if somebody wanted to pursue retail sales, were big enough to, I guess, have the parking facilities and potentially for a retail building and all those items. And so we kind of settle on 5 acres, a 5 acre minimum. And so that's been added to our discussion or our recommendation. And then also ADA requirements for if there's a accessory building involved, that does need to be accessible to all individuals. So those were the major changes. The one thing I don't think we totally agreed on was the 300 square foot maximum size for an accessory building or a retail sales separate building. But other than that, I didn't really discern any kind of heartburn over 300 square feet or any problems with it, but I didn't ever feel like there was a consensus either. But so that remains the same. But other than that, those were the items that kind of were debated last time, and we've incorporated that language into a red line document for you to review. And then the next meeting will have a public hearing and ultimately a recommendation to the city council.
I'm certainly ready to see a red line. I think we've talked about this plenty.
My only question is, it says must be greater than 5 acres. So
Maybe 5
Okay.
acres or more is would be better.
Okay, we can,
5 acres or more, possibly.
okay, we can make that change, certainly.
I mean, I think that's a good addition to it because, the idea here is that if it's a large acreage property, it's not going to inconvenience the neighbors. They ought to be able to facilitate it. I think that's good. Any other comments or?
Brad, is there any, I don't see any specific stipulation about employees of these businesses.
Well, we just have one space for an employee, and in our code for home occupations, we do say that it must be owner operated, but you can have one additional employee. So
So that would still apply in this case.
yes, that is correct. So there's really two areas you have to look at in the code for retail sales. One is our home occupations, which are allowed by right. And then if you want retail, you have to have a special use permit. And so all those other requirements still must be met, but this is just an additional, I guess, set of requirements for retail sales.
So I guess I'm starting to see the way this is going, and I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest with you. And I have read through this quite a bit today. And, we're all kind of focused on the accessory dwelling, but there's also something on, it'd be 12A1. Somebody could use their home for retail sales. 25% of the home could be garage or something could be retail sales. My concern is that you have it covered for off-street parking, must be a minimum of 2 spaces, but that doesn't put a maximum on, somebody says, I want 10 spaces or I want 15 or 20 or what have you. There's no maximum. So then, my engineering brain starts thinking, well, if somebody wants to put 20 spaces because they have some retail type of business, clothing or whatever list of retail that we have here, building materials, food and beverage stores, health, personal stores. I mean, we're opening this up to all that stuff. So in my opinion, if we're going to have to do the special use permit, I think they need to start following what developers have to do. They have to ensure we're not going to flood neighbors. We're not going to have light trespass on neighbors. We're going to have proper screening. I think those things need to be brought up if that's how we're
Well,
going
that
to
is
do
part
this.
of what they do have to submit a site plan,
Yeah.
which does have our criteria that they're going to need to follow.
Yeah.
Which will include some landscaping. I did mention architectural features in here, but so there's a lot of things. If they have an accessory building, they're going to have to do. And that's where the ADA came from.
And honestly, the only reason why I bring this up is I have a friend that has this exact same scenario. He's in KCK. He's on a 1 acre lot and they built an accessory building and they're running a business out of it. And in July, when they had that big rain, they had a new driveway. They didn't submit a grading plan. They, allowed the permit to accessory building be built. His basement was flooded. So he had to go in there and rip out all the flooring and do all this stuff because, this guy's running a landscape business out of his house. Not that they'd be allowed in retail business, but I mean, this is my whole point. We're starting to mix commercial retail in residential areas. I'm just, not a big fan of it.
I totally get it. I totally get it. And I'm sensitive to it as well. I guess I find some comfort in the fact that it's got to be 5 acres or more.
I see.
So I don't know that we're necessarily open Pandora's box for the 1 acre.
Okay.
But you're right. It certainly could cause a proliferation of these kinds of businesses that would be out there, but it's kind of hard for me to imagine there'd be a whole lot of demand for that.
Okay.
5 acre minimums.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to take a scenario. Okay. If somebody comes with this 5 acre site plan, they want a special use permit. They want to run a retail business out of it. They got to send out notices to all the neighbors. And all those neighbors come in here in this room with pitchforks saying, why are you guys allowing a retail business in a residential area? And as a planning commission, we updated the code to allow that. So we're going to have to be comfortable if they meet all the site plan approvals, all the special use permit, traffic studies, drainage studies, landscape. If they meet all that stuff, we're going to have to be comfortable as a planning commission to approve that special use permit. When all these people out here say, hey, you can't put a commercial business in a residential area.
I thought we had a time limit on the special use permit. And was there a renewal period, or I'm thinking of a different item that
I think we talked about it.
we didn't add it in? Okay.
Yeah, I think I did have a 2-year and then the 4-year maximum. But what I got from planning commission last night was to take that out and just make sure it was a non-transferable.
Maybe to address your thought though, maybe we do need an additional factor of, consider the impact upon the neighbors as being something that we would consider as part of a special use permit.
Yeah.
Which we have that in other parts of our code. We have provisions that say consider the impact to the surrounding neighborhood. I mean, a special use permit, technically, we follow the same golden criteria that we go through with the rezoning.
Yeah, I'm just saying we're setting the precedence, next month, if we recommend approval of the code change, that we're going to have to be comfortable as a commission when this comes in front of us and there's a full house of people in opposition and they meet all the criteria, we're going to have to be able to comfortably say, yes, we can move forward.
But maybe I'm misunderstanding, because I don't think if that's the case, you still as a planning commission have the right to say that it doesn't meet under the golden criteria what's necessary for a special use permit.
Mhm.
And if you've got.
We do.
Huh?
I understand. Yeah, we have a right to say no to that. But we have it in the code saying this is allowed if they meet these requirements.
We've had packed rooms before with people upset over things that are changing. So I don't see this would be any different if we've done everything we can with a special use permit. I understand where you're coming from. I
Yeah.
do. But I think we've done our due diligence with a special use permit.
The only difference that I see is all the other surrounding cities, we are in line, our code is in line with what they have stated. We are not, this is not something that we're trying to get back in line with everybody. We are in line with everybody, right? And we're going outside that box.
While I recognize that, there's not a whole lot of other cities that have 5 acre tracts that are going to probably be dealing with this.
I agree.
But we are a little different.
Yeah.
Are you, suppose, because I'm assuming your inclination would be, don't approve this, but would there be anything that would make you feel more comfortable about it in the verbiage?
Right now, I'm completely no. I would be no if we would add, they got to show there's no traffic, there's no impact on stormwater, all those landscaping. I'd still be no,
Yep.
but I wouldn't be completely no.
Well, that's good. That's,
Some flexibility.
so you think that a traffic study and a rainwater study would be necessary, or at least prudent.
I'm not saying it's necessary. I want to make sure that there's no impact to the surrounding neighbors.
Yep.
I want the neighbors to have their quiet enjoyment of their own property.
We don't want to make it so cost prohibitive on 5 acres either that.
Yeah,
nobody
I understand, but,
can do that.
but also, I mean, when they're running their retail business out of their own property and somebody buys a house right next door, they're not going to be aware of that until Thursday evening or Friday evening when they're out enjoying their own yard and playing basketball, and then cars are coming by to the retail business. You know, I'm not focusing, I'm just as a general 10,000 foot discussion here. I know.
Is there any hours of operation stipulations there? I guess I didn't really think about sort of in the evening kind of things that you're saying. Like, I just assumed she's running a 9 to 5 kind of a deal. I don't know.
10 to 4,
There you go.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yeah. Don't know if it matters. Just thought I would ask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, generally, we don't have time limits on home occupations. So that's where this is kind of fitting underneath.
Yeah.
It's a home business.
And I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying if you're worried about, if you want to mitigate and guard against peace of mind, quiet, whatever, that's, maybe a thought. We do
This
that
is Patrick. I might, just to Justin's point, mention that I think it probably is better that we not have, in the regs specific, like, for example, hours, just from the standpoint of if someone, like if we put hours in there and, they say they'll comply with all, it does make it a bit harder to deny. So I think, it might be better just to have you guys, when the special use permit comes before you,
Yeah.
that would be something you could impose. I mean, you can impose any requirements you want in that special use permit
Okay.
proceeding. So just a thought.
I was thinking about the aggregate zoning permits that we've approved recently, where we sort of specify hours of operation, is what made me think about that. Which, to Patrick's point, probably makes sense to put in the special use permit, but was just trying to think forward.
Well, we certainly can memorialize that as an element of the criteria that, the planning commission may approve and condition the special use permit so as to include features that do not unreasonably interfere with the neighbor's enjoyment of their property.
Yeah.
You could have something maybe as amorphous as that to just alert future planning commissions. It's not a matter of right. It's a matter of discretion.
Yeah.
I like that.
Don't think it solves the problem.
But is
But it
it
might be
less of a no?
And I totally understand it. I mean, we were certainly this area that are permitting it. I get it.
I like that modification.
Is that adequate feedback for you?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anybody else? I don't think you're gonna get a unanimous approval, but you can bring back something.
That's why there's 7 people here.
Okay,
Closer though, I think.
let's talk goats.
All right, thank you, Chairman. We had a discussion last meeting about goats and actually, Patrick, maybe you could talk a little bit more about the compromise that we came up with the applicant, but in essence, they would have a filing deadline. We picked December 1st, where they turn in application to myself and declare that they've got goats. And then we've got the criteria for the goats. It doesn't matter if they're pygmy goats or dwarf goats or Nigerian goats, as long as they were here December 1st, And we do have criteria about the shed, the size of property or available areas for the goats to live. Um, And that they can have 2 goats for basically in perpetuity, this one owner. Once again, it's not transferable, so the owner sells the property and moves away, the goats move away with them. And that will be the end of this. It's a special scenario we've come up with because these goats have been there for a couple, 3 years. There's been no complaints. The neighbors seem to enjoy them. It's kind of like no harm, no foul. So let's kind of find a way to thread the needle to allow the goats to stay. We learned a lot about goats. They're herding animals and they like to be in pairs. They don't want to be by themselves. So just saying you could have 2 goats and if one dies, you're down to 1. That's not going to work. We learned all these types of things. So,
They've been a long time. We learned that.
so with that, Patrick, do you have anything to add?
You're muted, Patrick.
Sorry, the language about the companion goat, that would be another permit. But, for example, if both goats, died at the same time, then you couldn't have any more goats. So it's really to address the situation where one goat dies. So they would be able to apply for 2 companion permits, which would allow that goat to be replaced. But once they get the 2 permits, then there are no more. So,
Thank you, Patrick. I think it's a good solution for this particular situation, and I certainly have no objection to it. I am a little interested. I certainly read all of the information about dehorning, and I get it. But the neutering thing, I don't remember that being an issue before.
Well, I think we decided to take that requirement out, period, whether they're neutered or not. I don't know that that makes a difference, whether the goats are gonna want to roam around too much or not, but
I mean, I think it presupposes it'd be difficult to breed them.
true. And then I guess I don't think our inspector really wants to.
Go check it out. Not saying I do either.
Now, the males, if they're not neutered, they have a stronger odor. Is that correct? Yeah,
Like you can smell them a mile away.
I was
They have
thinking
like
so.
steamer
hmm
So maybe we should leave that in.
Well, yeah, I don't remember us talking about that being objective.
Yeah, we never mentioned anything about. whether
Yeah.
weather. No,
I certainly,
if anything, I wouldn't own one that's not.
well, then I think we should probably keep that.
I think so
Okay.
too. I was thinking that that was a case and yeah.
But I get the dehorning thing. That does sound pretty awful.
Yeah, I agree.
So with that modification, any other suggestions? Because you're looking for a recommendation to come back with a text amendment?
Yeah, we'll have a public hearing at our next meeting.
Should we table it and pick it up again next month, or should we look for a text amendment? What do you think?
I think a text amendment
Text amendment.
is
I think
sufficient.
we're ready to see a red line.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thanks for taking the time. Okay. 7A, new business. Discuss billboard for ag tourism on K10.
All right. Thank you,
Before you
Chairman.
get too far into this, I'd love this as an opportunity for us to go back and re-examine our sign ordinance.
All right. Noted.
Don't go there.
Thank you.
Yeah, just so you know, Roger is a humongous fan of lit signs with nothing on them, just light bulbs in the air.
That's true. That does get me going. Right.
All right. Thank you, commissioners. But we had a situation where George Hoff of the Stone Pillar Vineyard and Winery put up a directional sign, and we do not allow billboards in DeSoto. So our inspector, this one was an easy one to see, like, whoops, that's not supposed to be there. So it started the whole process of, we want to do this. And then they got into all the exemptions. It's an agricultural business. They do have an agritourism certificate through the state of Kansas. But it doesn't give them carte blanche on everything. And signs are one of those stipulations. So we've talked to Mr. Hoff several times, and, he's a new business. He's trying to reestablish himself after being in Olathe for many years. It felt like, this is probably one of those things that we need to find some sort of criteria that is not going to help the proliferation of any kind of additional billboards. But so you have to have an agritourism certificate. You have to be an ag business, which he is. And we've got the information that Patrick found on the Attorney General's opinion on vineyards. So Patrick crafted just a statement basically saying if you've got your agritourism license or your certificate, you can have a billboard adjacent to K10. Once again, I don't see that we're going to have a whole bunch of agritourism businesses along K10, but this just happens to be one of those things. And Mr. Chairman, you make a great point. It's like only in DeSoto, because we've got so many large lots that a person can actually operate a vineyard. There's enough ground in DeSoto that a lot of those east side areas are capable of supporting a real agricultural business, and this one fits the bill. So there is support within the community. They actually, the Stone Pillar Winery, they do work with the downtown brewery, and they do associate there and have some of their products for sale. So it is a nice feature to have in DeSoto, a vineyard, and also a place where they can have tasting. And we've got other issues we're going to work with them as far as the tasting room and et cetera. But as far as the directional sign itself, it doesn't seem to be, in my opinion, you just driving by. It's not, once again, a large sign, blinking lights or anything like that. It's just a very simple, get off at Kate or Kill Creek, hang a left, and then hang another left, drive down the road. So I feel like it's an appropriate, I guess, concession in this case to allow this type of business, this type of use along K10 to have a billboard. So with that, I'd like to have a discussion or comments from the Planning Commission and schedule a public hearing on this item at the next meeting.
I do believe Kill Creek Farm has got an agritourism certificate, not the barn, the farm. At least he did at one time.
Yeah, I couldn't swear.
Other than that, I can't think of anybody else who has that.
Yeah, Bowling Farms does, but they're out
They're out in the county.
That's something.
And
that
certainly he
we-
wouldn't abut K10 and have property that abuts K10. But I mean, I guess that's the risk is if Daryl wanted to put up a sign to advertise Kill Creek Farm, you suppose could do this of right with this change. I don't know who else would have the right to do it.
Yeah, but that's a little different because the barn is actually the wedding venue. And as I recall, that's next taxed as commercial
The
because,
farm is not.
but the
They're
farm
actually-
is
they're
not.
Two different properties.
Right.
Well, one property, but it's got under lease. So the barn's actually on a separate tract.
Mhm.
Just for tax purposes.
I mean, what about all the other houses on the south side of 10? I mean, anybody can go get, if they're going to do some agribusiness, I mean, they could go get licensed through the state. And then there could be billboards put up.
You're right, but I do have in there, it can be 5x10, which is the sign of Mr. Hoff's size of Mr. Hoff's sign. But once again, and I know you, obviously the way you're thinking on the retail sales, you're trying to think worst case scenarios. And, Patrick and I have thought through those as well, but I just don't see how there's going to be potentially.
Where's the size notation on there? Did I?
I thought I had
overlook
that in there. It had to
I
be
don't
5x10.
see.
I didn't say that.
Maybe it was something I just Was thinking I wanted to add, didn't quite get it in there.
Yeah, there isn't a sign limitation or a size
Okay.
limitation. The thought was just you get one freebie and that's
So-
it.
Well, I don't think I do.
And also the height.
Yes, I think we need a size maximum at least.
Well,
Okay.
sounds like we're getting into sign territory, like how much
Let's
lighting?
revisit
This is
it.
Roger's favorite topic.
Bring it up.
So size, but also do we need to put, I know we talked about, you can't tell people what to put on the sign, but in this case here, if he goes and tries to advertise somebody else and get, money for that, revenue for that advertising, right now he just says stone pillar, but,
Brought to you by Milburn Engineering.
yeah, yes.
Maybe.
Well,
Yes.
but Milburn Engineering is clearly not going to have an agritourism.
Well, right, but he's a.
Unless you're going to start
Right.
selling tomatoes,
But you
Well, no,
don't
I
really
guess-
limit it. I mean, it should be a sign that is, advocates the agritourism activity. Because if it is just a right to put up a sign, if I have an agritourism activity, then your point's well taken.
Mhm.
Patrick, can you say that?
Yes, I think we can modify that language to address that instead of talking about just on the land license as agritourism, that it's,
For use and promotion agritourism,
Yes.
something like that.
Mhm.
yeah.
And then some reasonable restrictions on height, size, whatever you think is appropriate.
I don't know if lighting matters, but probably would think.
Didn't we have that on there?
It's not
Non-electronic,
But you can put a light on.
non-electronic, but yeah. Maybe something to
Is this one
say.
lit?
no, it's not lit.
No, but this is for future too, right?
But he'd sure rather have a pole sign because that would be a lot more visible.
Yeah. I'm sure the burnt end would lease him.
Yeah, we'd just leave some space.
Yeah.
Moving right along, boys.
Good.
What size do we want to put on this thing?
Well,
What
he's
size is this
said 5 by 10.
5 by 10?
That's what,
I'm good with that size. It's not obtrusive and gets the
I'll
point
admit, I've
across.
driven by there hundreds
Do you
of
care what
times.
it's
and I
made
just
out of?
noticed Recently.
Yeah.
just asking. Do you care what it's made out of? Just asking.
No,
I don't think so. I mean, we have this adequately maintained language. I guess if it looks bad, you can always complain.
yep, it's got adequate. But lighting is maybe something that we do want to address. It says non-electronic, but if somebody put a spot on it and,
I would think you could if it says non-electronic. I can still put a spot on it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Is that
then, you
okay?
know,
Yeah,
Well, it's,
I thought you'd want to allow that if he wanted to light the, put a
I mean, it is on
spotlight.
K10, I
You could
guess.
see it.
I mean, it doesn't bother me.
doesn't bother me either. I'm
Okay.
just wondering.
What else can we give Brad?
All right, so where are we on the lighted or not lighted?
non-electronic, but you can put a spotlight on it to
Okay.
illuminate it.
Okay, so we're gonna put up a solar panel.
So Chad's suggesting we actually give you some guidance in terms of height.
We don't need a 40-foot sign on.
That's true. Could be
All
All right,
5
well, I
by
can
10.
ask
If it's
Mr.
5
Hoff.
by 10, not
How?
to exceed total whatever height.
20 feet off the ground. No, if it's 5 foot high by 10 foot, not to exceed 8 feet.
Well, you might need a little higher than 8.
Grass is
Is there-
kind of high.
That
Yeah.
one looks pretty good down there.
Yeah, kind of dig above the grass.
Well, not to
Yeah.
exceed total 10 by 10 or something along those
Maintaining
lines.
the sign is mow the grass around it.
Not to exceed 10 by 10?
Yeah.
Hmm. How's that?
I would leave that in the hands of our illustrious staff to find out appropriate thing.
Okay, well, I will also follow up with,
30-foot sign.
yeah, I'll follow up with Mr. Hoff, see how tall his sign is, just so we.
Anybody else we can make a special rule for?
I was thinking, that's-
Okay.
Mhm.
You got what you need?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Have we given him all we wanted to?
It's up to you, boss. You tell them.
Hey, it's not up to me. It's this is your party. So I think that concludes our agenda. Any other items to discuss, or should we move to?
Motion to adjourn.
Moved and seconded. No objection?
I'm good.
We are adjourned. Thank y'all.